out there, you better be funny, because dying up there is not what you want to do. And I consult with laundries all over. I originally got into the writing of the column business, sort of. You might find this interesting because it's Chicago. My aunt was Ann Landers, and she was the columnist for the Chicago Tribune, and I used to send her on my articles. She lived on Lakeshore Drive in feudal splendor in a great big building and made a lot of money. And she happened to be married to a guy who was my mother's brother, who was started Budget Rent-A-Car. And he started Budget Rent-A-Car right on Wacker Drive, right in the Chicago area. And so I sort of got into the advice column business, sort of on a genetic level, I would imagine. And but I originally went to school to become a psychologist, and I ended up getting a couple of degrees in clinical psychology, and I was in the PhD program in Oregon. And I was going along, and my advisor called me in and indicated that he didn't think that I was suited to be a clinical psychologist because I wasn't like the rest of the people there. And I said, well, what are the rest of the people like? He said, well, they're not normal people, and they're not like you. So I said, well, you know, maybe I should leave. So I got out of the world of clinical psychology, but I did have a traineeship in a hospital where they filmed One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Jack Nicholson and others. And it was a very good training. It turned out to be actually excellent training for what I do and have done for the last number of years, which was to turn it all into the area of marketing, which is what I did. So, as I said, I fell into the thing sort of genetically, having an aunt who was very popular in the industry, and she did very well. She did a lot better than I do, but she did very well. She used to say that her garbage was wrapped in newspapers all over the world. She was a syndicated columnist, made a lot of money, and she did very well. She died a number of years ago, but I knew her pretty well, and I learned a lot of stuff from her about writing columns and things of that nature. So the question is, you know, I know I am. The question is, why are you here? It's sort of rhetorical. You don't have to answer that question. I'll answer it for you. Most of the time, people come to meetings like this because they have a common problem, and the problem is they want to make more money, and they need to make more money. They need more business, so they want to have an easier life, and the result is. They really are here because they mainly have some marketing issues. Everybody has marketing issues. In every business they have. It's very tough. Marketing is a tough field. And a lot of people go about it wrong. I'm trying to give you some new ways to think about it. Probably haven't thought about it this way in the past. And it's worked very well for me. Anything I tell you tonight is something that I already do. I do everything that I tell you I'm going to do. And there aren't many people that do it this way. It's a little bit contrarian to the way most people view marketing, because most people are not professionals when they go into a business. If you own a coin laundry, well, then you own a coin laundry. It doesn't mean you're a professional marketer. So I view it a different way. I sort of like a professional marketer that happens to own a coin-operated laundry, and that's the way I do it. So the way I view it is from a strictly psychological viewpoint. In other words, I'm going to try to introduce you to new ways of looking at marketing from a whole different perspective. It has nothing to do with the business you're in. It has to do with the validity of approaching other human beings and getting them to do what you want them to do from a technically sound marketing standpoint. So here's a big problem. Most business owners really don't understand, and that's true, and particularly, not particularly coin-operated laundry owners, but a lot of business owners. They understand the technology of the product, but they don't understand how to market their product. They try it, they do it at an amateur level, but they don't really do it in a professional level, sort of like I approach it. I can't tell you how to fix a washer, haven't got a clue. I can't tell you how to start a washer, or I don't really know anything about that sort of thing. But I can tell you how to market to get people to come in and use my machines. And that's really what my job is to do it there. So the underlying principles of the marketing really have the foundation in sound psychological principles, the understanding of human beings. There's a lot of money to be made in marketing, especially by those people who sell it, like advertising. Because they make a lot of money selling you advertising on the expectation that it's going to work out for you every time, which it doesn't do. There's a lot of products for sale. You would be amazed at how many products there are for sale. 2 Harvard professors most recently, did a study in the city of New York, and they found out that there were 2 billion products or more available for sale at any time in the city of New York. I mean, that's an enormous amount of products, and everybody's trying to sell their products, and everybody's doing marketing associated with it. So you got a lot of attention. wants you to pay attention, and there's a lot of competition for your eyes. So you're bombarded with marketing. You're numb from the entire thing. So it's a constant thing. So how do you stand out in the whole thing? Let me tell you a story. It could be a bedtime story, but I won't tell you bedtime because it causes you nightmares. But it could be a bedtime story. There was a myth perpetrated a long time ago that all human beings understand all other human beings. Not true. It is not true. And if that was true, then you would say, pop any ad out there would get immediately great results. You wouldn't have marketing consultants, you would have marketing firms. There wouldn't be any marketing challenges. It happens to be a myth. It is not true. It is true for other species of animals. Dogs, cats, elephants, tigers, rats, snakes, kangaroos. They all understand each other perfectly. All their behavior is innate, it's programmed, it's genetically determined. They get it, okay? We do not get it. Humans don't get it. The reason that humans don't get it is because our responses to stimuli, that would be advertising and so on, are mitigated by a lot of what we in the psychological field call intervening variables. An intervening variable can be a number of things. It can be age, gender, experience, mental health, lack of, maybe they have it, perceptual skills, ethnic background, and so on. So when you pop an ad out there, you don't really know how they're going to interpret that ad. Okay, dogs understand when a dog looks at them what the dog means. We don't understand that. But the error in the premise is that we think we do. And because we think we do, we spend a ton of money trying to get results by writing our own little ads or getting a great idea in the middle of the night, which really and truly is ineffective. It's very effective for people who sell advertising, but it's not very effective for people who use advertising. So it becomes a big, big problem. The two most common words in advertising, in my experience, are yeah, sure. Every time you read an ad, you always look at it and say, yeah, sure. You've been bombarded with ads, can't take it anymore. So everybody has got this cynical view of what advertising really is. There's other popular words too, they don't really apply yet, like just pay shipping and handling and while supplies last. But we're not talking about those type of products. But the two most common words in advertising are yeah, sure. So how do you get past that? How do you get past the yeah, sure? What are the common mistakes? A couple common mistakes that most marketers make. Well, number one, in my experience, is not understanding that repetition is more important than reach. Okay, Muhammad Ali did not get to be heavyweight champion of the world by hitting 100 people once. He hit one person 100 times. Repetition is more important than reach. Woodpeckers don't peck 100 trees once. They peck one tree 100 times to get what's inside, which is what they eat. I have done 480 seminars to help people understand what the coin laundry is about and hopefully get them to buy a laundry from me. Repetition is more important than reach. In other words, sometimes people will come to my seminar and say, I saw your TV commercial, I saw your ad, I must have seen it for 2 years. I finally showed up. I said, I finally got you, didn't I? Repetition is more important than reach, okay? Also, the second most common mistake that people make, like you all and people like me at one time, is projecting your own personality into your ads because you have a misuse of pronouns. It's not I or we, it's about them and they. Yet we all have this tendency to project our own personality traits into what we do. So you need to do a little inner work is to find out what you're about. For example, if you happen to be an alarmist, overly impatient, impulsive, or assume that everyone thinks like you do, you're going to project that into your advertising. At least you're not going to object to it if it's in there, and so forth. That's very dangerous. You need to do some inner work. So let's say, if you're a man, you can ask your wife to do a critique on you. That could be a little dangerous. If you're a woman, you can ask your husband to do that. That could be equally dangerous. Both dangerous to the husband, in my opinion. So you've got to be very careful what you do. Even though I tell you to do it, I'm not here to say that you should do it. Self-deception, okay? Emotional logic costs you a lot of money. It costs everybody a lot of money. Let me give you some examples of self-deception. I got some great examples of self-deception. I see it all the time. I am a racquetball player. I played racquetball all my life. Every week I play racquetball, 3 times a week. Before I play racquetball, I get on a treadmill. 2 miles on the treadmill. Every time I get on the treadmill, there's the same guy next to me. The guy's name is Seymour. Okay, I never knew his name for a long time. His name is Seymour. He's about the same height, the same weight. When you get on the treadmill, you program in all your statistics, and it prints out what you've done, calorie burn, miles, everything, right? So I'm on the treadmill one day, and I'm on there about 40 minutes, and I look at my calorie burn, and I say, well, I've burned up 160 calories. Then I look at Seymour's, and he's 425 calories. So I said to him, how is it that since you're about the same height and weight as me, that you burned up 425 calories and I only burned up 160? He said, because when I enter my weight, initially I put in 399 pounds. He said, but you don't weigh 399 pounds. He said, but I think I do. And now I can go home and I can eat anything we want. So I said, well, I understand, okay? I do stand-up comedy. I'll tell you a joke. Guy's walking down the street, sees another guy he hasn't seen for a long time. He says, how you doing? He says, I'm doing all right. Well, we got a family problem. What's the problem? He says, my brother-in-law thinks he's a chicken. He said, really? He said, you should really get him straightened out. You take him to a shrink, get him straightened out. He said, we would, but we need the eggs. Self-deception, self-deception. Banks do this all the time. They have a meeting on a loan meeting, okay? Got this guy, he's making his payments, then he's not making his payment. We're not sure where they call the loan. What are they going to do about this guy, right? Well, what they do, they pretend and extend. That's the name of the term bankers use. Hey, be okay. He'll straighten himself. He's going to pay us eventually. I know he is. Okay, pretend and extend. Self-deception. Emotion over logic, okay? Another story, very interesting story about nature, okay? Scorpion and frog standing beside a pond. Scorpion says to the frog, I got to get across the pond here, and as you know, I don't swim. And I know you do. How about if I hop on your back, give me right across the pond, I'll be forever grateful. So the frog says, you know, I might have been born at night, but not last night, baby. Okay? I know you bite, and if you bite, your bite is poisonous. If you bite me, I'll die. The frog says, or the scorpion says, do the math. If I'm on your back, and we're halfway across the pond, and I bite you and you die, what's going to happen to me? He says, strong point, hop on. Halfway across the pond, scorpion bites the frog in his dying breath. He said, why did you bite me? The scorpion says, I couldn't help it. It's my nature. Okay? Bottom line is, you never want to confuse the definition of what's interesting with what's interesting to you with what's interesting to the public. You have to be very, very, very careful how you do that. And a lot of people are very guilty of that. You write an ad. Most small business owners write their own ads. So they write, this is what I'm doing, this is gold. This is gold. This will kill them out there. And they write the ad and they stay up all night saying, I'm going to devour this marketplace. I'm home free. I'm buying that house in Acapulco. Right? Nothing happens. Nothing good happens. Except they get a bill for the ad. It's not worth it, right? Well, the ad had a flaw in the beginning. It's an error in the premise. It will appear in the conclusion. That's very expensive to do things like that. So what are the secrets of psychologically sound marketing that will make you the king or queen of coin? Okay, the secrets are, number one, I'll give you a number of secrets. They're not really secrets, but this is what I use, and in my career, in a number of different industries, probably have sold over $100 million worth of products. And I didn't do it by having bad advertising. I must have had something right. There must be something right. Number one, and this is what I do, so I can say if I do it, you should do it, and if you do it, you should get the same results I do. I use what is known as the AIDA marketing model. AIDA. Attention, interest, desire, and action. Okay? All infomercials use it. I love infomercials. My wife thinks I'm crazy because I love to sit and watch infomercials. I don't watch other programs, but I watch infomercials. I get a kick out of them. I watch my favorite infomercial. I don't know if you've seen the infomercial with the slap chop with the guy with the skinny face. That guy knocks me out. And the line in that thing that knocks me out, and I don't know why it knocks me out, is he looks at the camera and he says, comes with a cover. And I keep saying that line, and I know why I think that's funny. Nobody thinks that's funny, but I think that's funny. So the infomercial, the focus of an infomercial with the AIDA model is to establish what is known as the glue factor. The glue factor is stick you to your seat so you don't walk out during the half an hour. So I use the AIDA model all the time. Let's apply it to a comforter commercial. Talk to the world in which you live, okay? Using the AIDA model, okay? I do a lot of TV commercials in Detroit. I should mention too, I forgot to mention at the outset, that I've done a lot of TV commercials. I did one with one of your hometown heroes, Dick Butkus. You all know Dick Butkus, right? So I did a TV commercial with Dick Butkus, and he sent me out to the airport to pick him up. And he got off the plane, he was the single largest human being I've ever seen. And I said to him, I had a feeling, I said, you Dick Butkus? I look at him, and he looked down and said, who wants to know? I said, well, far be it for me to lie to you. And so I actually did a TV commercial with Dick Butkus, and in that commercial and I did that for a chain of restaurants, but in that commercial and all the commercials I write, I use the AIDA model. So let's apply it to the comfort thing. So the first line in the commercial that you might do, I'm using the television commercials model, is the first line having to do with getting their attention. It might go like something like this. hey, feeling guilty about not washing your comforter often enough? Yeah, they are. That got their attention, okay? Well, at Wishy-Washy Coin Laundry, we can solve that problem for you fast. That got their interest, okay? And it's far less costly than dry cleaning. You don't have to leave it overnight, okay? Now that creates the desire. And the last line in so many words would be, so give us a call or bring it in and we'll make you very happy you did. Now you got all the ingredients in there. You don't have to tell them you have all the ingredients in there. They just have to be in there. They have to be under the surface in a logically sequential way. So every ad that I write has a strategy to it, not known to the recipient, but always known to me. I do a TV spot that's wildly popular in the city of Detroit. I do a lot of TV spots in Detroit. So I'm standing in front of the camera, I got a comforter out of the camera reach, hanging down by my hand here. And I say, you know, at Woodward Coin Laundry, it's a tagline, it's the last 10 seconds of a commercial. At Woodward Coin Laundry, did you know you could wash and dry your comfort for a fraction of the cost of dry cleaning? You don't have to leave them overnight. Now that's a comforting thought, isn't it? Tears are running down their face out there. TV land, oh my God, I finally got a solution to this disgusting problem I have. Speaking of comforters, you know, you can wash a lot of large articles in laundries today. Most notably is the comforter. In my view, the comforter is the only article of clothing that touches your body every day. You can call it that because it touches your body every day, that you never wash. Every night you get into bed, and every night you say, I gotta get washed, I gotta do it, it's been too long, months, it's been this, that. I'll get to it. And if I ask you why you do not wash your comforter, you're gonna give me all kinds of socially acceptable reasons why you do. Well, I don't go this way, I go that way. I turn left, I turn right, it's too expensive, it's not expensive enough. I remembered, I thought I remembered, I'm not sure if I remember. There's 100 different reasons, okay? But that isn't the real reason. The real reason is, and I have a theory on this. My theory on this is that people get older, they don't get more mature, they just get taller, okay? Some people get taller. But I have to tell you that those of us who don't get taller, there is an advantage because when it rains, I'm one of the last people to know it. Okay? That is a distinct advantage. So why don't you wash your comforter? The reason you don't wash your comforter is because you want your blankie. Okay, now you're not going to tell me you want your blankie, but I know that's the reason why you don't wash your comforter, because you're always trying to find a reason. If you take away, a couple takeaway points from what I'm telling you tonight, one of which is why don't people really wash their comforter? So how do you turn this thing, as the younger people say today, how do you monetize this? Monetize today means how do you make money from it? 50 years ago, as we said. How do you make money from it? Well, they don't talk about this. They say, how do you monetize this? Well, you can write an ad that has something to do with the fact that you take advantage of the fact that they want their blankie. You don't say blankie in the ad, but you structure that ad strategically so they conclude that there's a solution to their problem, taking advantage and paying respect for their immaturity because they want their blankie. Okay. Speaking of theories, unrelated, but I can throw it in anyway. A lot of theories. One of the theories I have is how to live a long time and stay thin. Unrelated to what we're talking about here. My theory is that when you are born, you are allotted a certain amount of calories, and when you eat them all up, you die. So the moral of the story is eat fewer calories every day, live longer. Not complicated. Okay? They did research on rats, and they actually did this, and the rats that they underfed lived longer than the rats that they overfed. So I think actually my theory holds up. So why do people buy? What is the psychology of buying? Why do people buy things? Why do you may have never thought about that before. You just think that they do buy things, but why do they buy things? What's the reason they buy things? Well, I can tell you how they buy. Psychologically, they buy an emotion, and they justify with logic. That's the way all purchases are made. Whether you believe it or not, it happens to be true. They buy an emotion, and they justify with logic. Guy buys a Mercedes, parks it in his driveway, okay? You ask him, why'd you buy the Mercedes? He said, I bought a Mercedes because I'm familiar with the gearbox of 359 to 256. You got 15 different traction levels and hogwash. He don't know the first thing about why he bought that Mercedes. He bought that Mercedes so he could park in the driveway and impress you. That's why he bought the Mercedes. He didn't know anything about the Mercedes. If he lifted up the hood, he wouldn't have a clue what was under there. He never lifted up the hood when he bought it. You buy an emotion and justify with logic. It's called the emotion over intellect rule, and it dominates everything that we do. It really does. So in my view, there are 5 primary buying motives, which I also put in every ad that I write. Not obvious, you would never know they're in there, but I know they're in there, and I can tell by the results. The 5 primary buying motives are fear, greed, exclusivity, guilt, and need for approval. That's all. There's only 5. Some will work together, some will work singularly, but that's how they work. My comforter commercial has them all. You know, talk about fear, germs, okay? We talk about greed, it costs a fraction of the cost of dry cleaning, and you don't have to leave them overnight. We talk about exclusivity, now you know that. You've seen my TV commercial, and you talk about guilt from not washing it, and you talk about the need for approval, perhaps from your sleeping partner, maybe from yourself, and you can't get over the fact that you haven't got this comforter washed in a year and a half. Okay, that type of thing. The next principle that I always use in all my ads is called the generic determination rule. And what that generally says is, it's not the number that counts in advertising, it's a generic category that determines the response. How many hamburgers do you think McDonald's would sell if they advertised their great big 4-ouncer? Not a lot, but they don't. It's the quarter pounder. That's for the big appetite. It's only 4 ounces, but it is the quarter pounder, okay? And they call it the quarter pounder for a reason, because a generic category determines if people give them a better response. How long will it take to get this thing done? 3 days. I can't wait 3 days. $72. Perfect. 72 hours. Excellent. I can do that. Not you know, how far is that from here? It's a quarter of a mile. I can't walk a quarter of a mile. It's 3 blocks. 3 blocks. I can do that in my sleep. A blind dog with a nose mouth can do that. Okay? It's a generic category that counts. How much is it going to cost me? It costs you $60 a month. Too much. Can't pay. It costs you $2 a day. Chump change. Not enough. Okay? How long does it take for that washer to run? It takes a half hour. Half hour? I can't wait. How long does it take for that washer to run? It takes 30 minutes. That's all. That's fast. That's fast, okay? When will my drop-off laundry be done? It'll take a day. When will my drop-off laundry be done? About 7 hours. That's terrific. I'll be back in 7 hours. So a generic category that counts, that's really very, very important. The next thing that I always use is called information optimizing. Use the right language, okay? Don't use dispassionate language. Use the right language all the time. Information optimizing can be the difference between if and when. For example, very important difference between if and when. When implies certainty, and if doesn't. Big difference, okay? If you have a thing in your laundry, like we do in our laundry, enter to win gasoline, we say when you enter to win gasoline, and when you win, blah, blah, blah. I don't say if you win. If implies uncertainty, okay? If your name is drawn in the Frequent Washer Club, is not what I do. When your name is drawn, if you were selling a car, you would do it differently. You would say, if anything goes wrong, we got to service the car. Not when something goes wrong, because when it's never going to happen. Nothing's going to go wrong, okay? And if you have, for example, a Frequent Washer Club, don't use words like earn or win, okay? That implies work and luck. People don't want to work, and they don't want to take a chance, okay? Use get. Join our Frequent Washer Club and get free washes. A huge difference, perceptually, on the part of the recipient, okay? Let me switch gears a little bit. I'm sort of like the Prince of Blends here. I'm switching to a couple of different things here. Some interesting thoughts on the psychology of ancillary vending. I think ancillary vending is fascinating. I have my own theories on ancillary vending. You take it for granted. Somebody comes in and buys some potato chips. Yeah, right. But there's a reason why they bought their potato chips. I think that what I tell you here may change your whole approach for how you advertise ancillary vended products. We actually study people's behavior in laundries in my area because we think it's very important. So we watch what people do. So actually what happens is the person who walks into Coin Laundry, takes a bill out of the pocket or purse, gets the equivalent amount of quarters, chooses the washers of their choice. Then they sit down and they think of themselves, 2 hours, what am I going to do for 2 hours? I don't know. Then they spot it, that snap machine with the window in it. Their eyes get closer and look down at J6 chips barbecue. Then they have this conversation with themselves. I never heard of it, but I surmise. I'm not hungry, I'm too fat, I want Weight Watchers, I made a deal on New Year's Eve, I promised my doctor, I promised my wife, my husband, I'm not a candidate, I'm not, but they weaken. They got time in their hands and money in their pocket, they buy that bag of chips. They eat that bag of chips. Now their electrolytes go out of whack. Sodium shoots up, potassium drops, they're thirsty. There it is, right next to the snack machine, the drink machine. They buy that drink, now they're out of control. Now they buy a candy bar, buy some soap, play a video game. That's 5 purchases. If you think that's small change, you want to rethink this, okay? The theater owners know this. You just had dinner, half an hour ago. Now you're sitting in the movie theater with $7 worth of popcorn and $4 worth of Coke. You don't want it, you didn't eat it, but you have it. You're at the ball game. It's 1 o'clock. You just had lunch. Now you're standing in line to buy, not to buy actually, to be ripped off for $8 worth of beer and $4 worth of peanuts, and you don't really care. They understand all this. I have a theory on why this all occurs. This will change your whole life. The theory on ancillary vending is you just take it for granted. You pop a machine there, somebody comes along and buys something. Not true. There's a reason why they buy that thing. Okay? 20 zillion, trillion, quadrillion years ago, when we started out as human beings, we evolved and evolved and evolved and evolved, and we eventually ended up living in a cave. And we looked outside the cave and we said, you know, things can get really rough. It could be a Tyrannosaurus. We don't know what's up there. It could be anything bad. So when I leave the cave, I got to bulk up. I need carbohydrates. This has never been taken from our DNA, from our genetic structure. It takes millions of years to get rid of stuff, you know. It takes that long to get them, let alone how to get rid of them. So as long as it's in our genetic structure, okay, the need for survival, every time you leave the cave, you will get hungry, okay? You may not, you know, you think about your own life and you know, ponder your life, and you will see that you probably agree with me. And when you leave the cave, you get hungry. So the basis for ancillary vending is, these are people who are leaving the cave. Okay, so how do you turn this thing into a monetizing event? The way you turn this thing into a monetizing event is you write your ads. You don't say you've left the cave and now you've got to buy some peanuts. You don't say it, that's a little blatant. What you do say is something about the fact that while you have to word it very carefully, but you can say things such as, while you are not at home, perhaps this, perhaps you might feel a little hungry, and we have everything you need, you could possibly want, and so forth and so on. But in my opinion, the theory of ancillary vending has to do solely with the fact that you've left the people who have left the cave. And since now you know that, there's not many people that know this. Okay, I haven't told that many people, but I have told you. So there's X amount of people in this room, and you all know this. Now you can take this and you can make $1 zillion. Okay, and you can adjust what you sell. You can put signs up that you never had before, talking about why people should buy your ancillary vended products. And if you get them where they live, if you hit them where they live, right in the gut where they live, they're going to say, you know, I could eat something. You know, I'm feeling a little nervous. I'm not home. They won't say it that way, but they'll feel that way. Okay, so that's the basis for ancillary vending. Something you never probably thought you were talking about here, nor did you care about a whole lot, but that is entirely true. That is the reason why people will buy things away from home. If you were at home, you wouldn't be caught dead eating that stuff. But let alone even consider paying the price that you have to pay for this type of thing. I went down to Lakeland, Florida about a month ago and watched the Tigers play, and they were charging $8 for a regular beer, and they were lined up to buy it. Okay? I'm looking at these people, $8 for beer. If I walked in their house and here's a beer, give me $8, they say, what are you, nuts? You know, $8 for beer, that's outrageous. You're a crook, you're a criminal, common criminal. So that's what that's about. So those are some of the ingredients to writing very psychologically sound advertising. Writing advertising can be done by anybody with a writing instrument and the use of the English language. But it's about what you write that affects other people, because other people are infinitely complicated. Very, very complicated. Okay? So I will recap them for you. Number one, you got to know yourself. You don't want to project yourself at all, ever. It doesn't matter what you like. It makes no difference what you like. It only matters what they like. You know, I've talked to coin laundry owners and say, why do you got Clark bars in your vending machine? Because I love Clark bars. I'm a big Clark bar fan. I said, it doesn't matter what you like. You're missing. What about what they like? Well, I hadn't thought about that. Okay, so you've got to know yourself. You got to do some what they call inner work. It's a phrase psychologists use. Inner work. I'm not quite sure what it means. It's opposed to exterior work, but you got to do some inner work. You got to use the AIDA marketing model. Attention, interest, desire, and action. Every ad you have, it's got to be in there. You got to use a generic determination rule. Okay, in other words, the category matters more than the number. Information optimizing. I use the different if and when, but there's a lot of examples that you can use. And the emotion over intellect. Why do people buy it? Fear, greed, exclusivity, guilt, and need for approval. They're all in there. Okay, they're all in there. You ever see a TV commercial with two women talking, and one's husband just died, and the other one's talking, said, we didn't have enough insurance to pay for Bill's funeral. It was terrible. It was awful. The other woman's going like this. Oh my God. She can't wait to get home and tell her husband. They're on the phone buying that insurance the next day. Fear. Okay? Primary motivator. And they do this all the time. If you use these, you will achieve more, be frustrated less, won't have a boring laundry, won't have a boring life. You'll be able to make more money, I think, in the long run. marketing. Very, very, very interesting. I find marketing very, very fascinating. The reason I find it fascinating is because it's very close to psychology. It's all about psychology. As long as you're dealing with human beings, that's primarily what it's about. Okay? I always like marketing is really about the study of feet. If they like what you have, they walk in. If they don't, they walk out, or they don't walk in at all. So it's about the study of feet. I have another phrase that I use, I beat it to living death where I live, and that is I bet on the jockey, not on the horse. Okay? It's the jockey that wins the race, like the owner of the laundry wins the race. I bet on the jockey, not on the horse. You take a jockey, put him on the horse, put him on a track, point him toward the finish line. If the horse wins that race, they give the horse a bag of oats, throw him in the barn. Give the jockey a bunch of money, put him on TV. Okay? So I bet on the jockey, not on the horse. It's always about the jockey. Just having a gun doesn't make you a gunslinger. And how to use that gun. You got to know how to use that gun. Okay? Just having a business won't make you successful. You got to have a business to have a business. But after that, it's about being a good jockey. John Mellencamp wrote a song, which there's a line. Life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. Life goes on long after the thrill of buying the laundry is gone too. You got to know how to run that laundry, and it applies to laundry entirely. The other issue that you need to be aware of is the difference between benefits and features. It's just so amazing to me. Whenever I sell a laundry to somebody, I have them write their first ad. And it's all about features and no benefits, okay? It's like the guy goes to the hardware store and he buys a 1/4-inch drill bit. He doesn't want a 1/4-inch drill bit. He wants a 1/4-inch hole. He doesn't want the drill bit. He wants the hole. It's all about benefits and not features. People don't weigh their clothing, I have noticed, okay? I have been in countless laundries where above the bulkhead, over the machines, it says holds 80 pounds, holds 40 pounds, holds 20 pounds, holds 50 pounds, holds this, holds that, holds this. It was so awful, had it been a prize fight, it would have stopped, okay? It's just that awful. Everybody is interested in benefits only. Everybody, I don't know whether you know this or not, but and I had a radio program, I can tell you that everybody wasn't always listening to my radio program because everybody, all people, listen to the same radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? That's what they listen to. Everybody listens to that. What's in it for me? So all your advertising has to be written, composed, and formulated and strategized on the basis of the fact that everybody listens to the same radio program. Okay, what's in it for me? Years ago, okay, people used to wear long underwear. Way back in the Wild West, people used to wear long underwear. And it always irritated their skin. So some guy owned a general store and he found some long underwear that didn't do that. He put it up on the wall, tacked it up on the wall, and underneath it, all he said was, doesn't itch. Sold the guts out of it, okay? You ever seen a restaurant sign that just says eat? All you gotta say, that's the benefit. That's what they do. You eat. You don't have to tell the life story, okay? Most people know the price of everything and the value of nothing. That's true. That's a weakness in human beings. They know the price of everything and the value of nothing. Your laundry is not a commodity. You should never let it fall to the level of a commodity. Make sure that there are unique selling features, value pillars they call them, to avoid customer churn. You got to build a loyal following. Your laundry has to have a personality. Like Cheers, remember the TV program Cheers? That was based upon the fact that that bar had personality. I do a lot of, like I said, I do a lot of TV spots for my own laundry. I do maybe, I have 5 of them running all the time. And I have some real interesting lines that I say in my commercials that people come up to me. I was flying here today through Metropolitan Airport, and I'm standing in a thing being examined by this thing, and the guy taps me on the shoulder. He said, hey, laundry guy, where you going? Okay? I said, well, I'm going to Chicago. You know, because they call me the laundry guy. So I'm on TV a great deal. I do a spot, I actually have the nerve to do this, and I do this. I say that if another laundry owner even dreams of doing better than my laundry, which is Woodward Fine Laundry, you better wake up and apologize. Okay? I actually put that on TV. I say Woodward is so good, the competition's getting frantic. I checked them on radar, somewhere over the Atlantic. Okay? I had a woman walk up to me in laundry and said, I didn't know you did rap. I said, oh yeah. I do it all the time, every day. I do it. Okay, so you want to have unique selling features, value pillars they call them. It's about that. So how do you get where you want to go? I love when people say, well, I hope this works, I hope that works. No, hope is not a strategy, and wishes don't do dishes, okay? Hope is really for bystanders. You got to be very proactive, not reactive. If you're reactive, things will happen to you. If you're proactive, stool, hoping the cow will back up to him. Last I look, goes and chases the cow. Okay? That's a difference between proactive and reactive. Big difference. Leave nothing to chance. Try not to leave anything to chance. I understand the chance enters into our lives, but try not to leave anything to chance. I'll give you an example. A number of years ago, my wife and I were in New York for the weekend to do nothing. Went to this great restaurant, had a reservation, called the River Cafe. Pay the big bucks. Why do you pay the big bucks? Because they had big windows that overlook the Manhattan skyline. So I walk in the restaurant, and the first thing I notice is the best seats are by the window. So I go over to Maitre d', and I said, he said, what can I do for you? He looked at me like he just smelled something bad, but New York's a rough crowd, so you got to know how to handle it. So I said, by the way, is there any chance to get the table by the window? So he looked at me and he said, nothing happens here by chance. Oh, that was too smooth. I couldn't believe it. He said that. So I reached in my pocket and flipped the guy in 20. He said, that's not enough. You're sitting there. He said, wait a minute, I'm only going to be here once. You had your chance. So I'm sitting in the middle of the restaurant trying to figure out how this guy makes about $100 grand a year walking steps from there to there, undeclared cash income, seating people at the restaurant, over and above the salary, which probably put him in a mansion in Westchester. I'm out here killing myself. Okay? The reason is because he's smarter than I am. Okay? He leaves nothing to chance whatsoever. And if you can avoid doing that, you're better off. What about prices? All coin laundry owners are preoccupied with prices. They're all vend prices. Call them up at 3 o'clock in the morning. What vend price? I didn't say vend price. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind. We're talking about vend prices, okay? Customers are not price makers. Customers are price takers. You may think they're price makers, but they're really not. They're price takers. If you lower your prices to match another laundry's, then you're just as smart as your dumbest competitor. Okay, you have to have value pillars, unique selling features that make that laundry hum. They got to want to come there. They got to know the difference between that laundry and any other laundry. They're not going to know it unless you tell them what the difference is. Okay. Strategy is important. Marketing. Patience is the weapon of the winner. Great phrase. Patience is the weapon of the winner. Early bird gets a worm, right? But the second mouse in the trap gets a cheese. Think about it. Okay? The second mouse in the trap gets a cheese. Peter, Paul, and Mary wrote a song in which there's a line. Inch by inch, row by row, that'll make your garden grow. Okay? Take one step at a time. Okay? There's no reason to assume any shortcuts in the success formula of any business. And the minute you start doing that, you are on your way down. Okay? In business, it's all about the money. You know, it's not like I really like that. It's just the way it is. That's the way it works. It's always about the money. Okay? It's unfortunate but true. You know what the trouble with not having enough money is? It takes up all your time. You're always chasing around trying to get more money, so it takes up all your time. Anybody here ever heard of Nipsey Russell? Nipsey Russell, one of the great, my all-time favorite genius stand-up comics, sonnets. He was an African-American genius comic. He wrote the sonnets. Nipsey Russell, fabulous guy. Nipsey Russell said this: if you're walking down the street, somebody puts a gun to your head, says, "Give me your money or I'll blow out your brains." The decision is easy. I'm going to blow out your brains. The reason for that: a lot of people live without brains, but you can't live without money. Okay? Now, it's not my writing, and I'm not, but that's what business is. That is what business is about, okay? That's what it's all about. Do I like that? No. I prefer it not to be like that? Yeah. But it's what it's about. It's grueling. It's tough. It's difficult, right? I'm going to show you a couple of pictures here. First picture I'm going to show you, our projections assistance here, is a picture of some cows. Okay? That's not them. But it's gonna be.
There we go. Sorry.
There we go. Okay. Cows, right? Here's the metaphor. Here's the metaphor. You do drive through the countryside and you see cows. They're either black or brown. You get your attention? Not a lot. There's nothing unusual about black or brown cows, right? Very commonplace, actually. Okay? But what happens if you ran across a cow that looked like this? That's a purple cow. Okay? That attracts a lot of attention. So what I'm saying is, you need to be the purple cow. Your laundry has to be the purple cow. You don't want to be part of the herd, you want to be the rancher. You don't want to be a common pilot, you want to be an astronaut. There's a big difference between the two. You want to be creative. Creativity is a marvelous thing. Creative people have the ability to visit the future and come back and tell us what they saw and put us into the state of the willing suspension of disbelief. It's amazing what creativity will do for you. And don't forget that when you are in business, never forget this, that you're in a constant battle. The battle is always the same thing. You're always in a battle to either increase your market share or protect what you have. Isn't that what we all do? It's always the same problem, okay? I've noticed that the money's all out there, it's just the pockets that change. So the market shares come and then market shares go. I wrote this in one of my columns, and I think it's just outstanding. You should frame this and put it up. I said so in the column, actually. It's an African problem that really rings true. You know, every morning in Africa, gazelle wakes up and it realizes that if it doesn't outrun the fastest lion, it will be killed. Every day a lion wakes up and knows if it doesn't outrun the slowest gazelle, it will starve to death. Okay? So it doesn't matter whether you're a gazelle or a lion, when the sun comes up, you better start running. And that's really what it's all about. That's unfortunately part of what we do. Tough world out there. Things have changed very dramatically, having to do with the internet. Marketing has changed. It's changed for me too. It's changed how I advertise. You can't advertise this way. It used to be effective. Financing has changed. Everything has changed. There's a book written recently called Who Moved My Cheese, which was written by a psychiatrist, actually. Having to do with, you know, two mice are talking, you know, they say, the cheese is always the same place. Keeps going back and get the cheese, and pretty soon he finds out it's not there. Keeps going back anyway. And the other mouse is telling him, you can't keep going back there because they moved the cheese. So he said, well, I don't really believe they did. Well, they did. So the moral of the story is that they did, and it's true for all of us, they in fact have moved the cheese. And you got to get used to it, and you've got to get past it. It can be depressing for people at times when you have to learn new methods of marketing. It can cause stress, cause a lot of stress. I work at a major hospital every Sunday in the Detroit area. It's a level 1 trauma hospital. I work in patient care in the emergency department. And the name of the hospital is Beaumont Hospital. It's a big hospital, 1,000-bed hospital. It's a very, very difficult environment. You see a lot of things that are very, very, very bad. And I notice, because I see people when they come in, and I'm involved with patient care, direct patient care. And I think I was chosen for the job because of my background in clinical psychology. There's people who have a lot of emotional problems. Not only people that are there, but people who are visiting those who are there as well are completely stressed out. Okay, we've had instances where the visitor had to be hospitalized because they were so stressed out. And so what happens is that I see people oftentimes now who present themselves with symptoms that appear to be physical, but are really not organic in origin. Okay, the amount of stress-related illnesses that show up at this hospital have increased dramatically, and it's very, very, very difficult. What can I offer you in the way of other than what I've talked about, the psychology of marketing? What's the basis for writing strategically appropriate, really get them type of ads and marketing programs? Some other bits of advice that you might find a little more comforting than sort of making you uncomfortable about the fact that I didn't do ADA. I don't know about ADA. I never heard of ADA. Now what am I doing? I've been doing this wrong for how many years? What would this cost me? Okay, well that can be like a little stressful. So, what can I do to sort of endear you to what I've been telling you and sort of mitigate this whole stress aspect of marketing and so on? Just remember that it's about yourself. It's about who you are. It's not what you do that defines you. You're not a human doing, you're a human being. So, it's very easy to get caught up in identifying yourself with what you do, and if you're doing good, then you're the king of everything. And if you're doing bad, then you're down in the dumps, okay? And everybody has that problem. You got to be able to separate that stuff from what you're doing. So how important are you? How really important is it? This will make your life a lot easier. How important are you really? Well, I'll give you some numbers, okay? The Earth is the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, okay? If you live to be 85, that's 1/1,000,000th of 1%. Okay, that's like 7 zeros and a 1. Okay, so don't put too much pressure on yourself because you're only this big. Okay, whatever you do may be incredibly important to you, but in the scheme of the universe, it's only so important. Okay, I always tell people order dessert first because you never know what's going to happen. Okay, you're never quite sure what's going to happen. You want to get tougher, you want to get stronger. Do something that scares you every week. I'm not talking about illegal. Do something every week that frightens you. In 6 months, be a heck of a person. Because no growth can be ever accomplished without some form of discomfort. Weightlifters will tell you that. Anybody that does physical training will tell you that. You have to push yourself to the point of discomfort or you will never grow. Makes sense. Most people avoid that. That's why most people never really get anywhere. Because the frequency of behavior is always a function of its consequences. And everybody says, well, I'm not going to do that. It doesn't feel too good. Okay, stop. But you're never going to get anywhere either. Mark Twain said, we talk about fear, okay? Fear is another thing. Fear is, if you could take fear and break it down, F-E-A-R, it really, you worry and stress out over a lot of things that never really happen. You think they're going to happen, but they never really happen. Fear, you can look at it as false expectations appearing real, F-E-A-R. Like I said, Mark Twain wrote this. It's very clever what he wrote. He says, I've been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. You know, so you say, well, you know, that's pretty good, because, you know, I'm a victim of that myself. I can play things out to the nth degree. It's just incredible. I can get a guy that comes into my seminar, says, I love what you do, I'm going to buy your laundry, I'm going to have a happy life, I'm going to go in the laundry business. I'm already taking it to the point where he's suing me because something I did wrong 5 years after I sold him the laundry. So I'm walking around in the middle of the night, oh my God, he's going to sue me, I got to find a lawyer. And so, but he's not. I just worked myself up into this frenzy trying to think about it. When you own a business, generally, it's sort of a dichotomous situation. You sort of have to decide whether you want to eat well or sleep well. You ever think about it that way? You want to eat well or sleep well? So when you run your business, you got to run it so you can do both. You know, you got to take some chances, but you don't want to over-chance things either. So you got to decide whether you want to eat well or sleep well. The most appropriate path to take is to be in the middle, I think. Everything there is, I think also that everything is there to teach us something. So this will give you a happier life. You're standing at the post office, you know, and the clerk is going this slow, there's 500,000 people in front of you, and then the clerk reaches down and puts a sign up, next window, off she goes to the break. They don't care about you, okay? So you're getting like high blood pressure, you're out of control. Well, look at it differently. What does this experience there teach me? Tolerance, the ability to accept others, the ability to see innocence in others. Instead of calling them a weasel, it's the ability to see innocence in others. You take a break, really, you can take a break from your business, but don't quit. You never fall off a bicycle and keep pedaling. Just keep pedaling. You run across some tough times, you just got to keep pedaling. You never got to stop believing in yourself. You have to believe in yourself, no matter what you do. Nothing in this world has ever been accomplished unless the person dared to believe that something inside him was superior to circumstances. That was a line that Vince Lombardi used to tell all his football players all the time. I stole it from Vince. He doesn't know I stole it from Vince. I stole it from Vince. And you always got to look at marketing as an attitude, not a department. That's one of my pet peeves. Marketing is not a department, it's an attitude. I'll tell you where it's a department. Every big company calls it a department. Our menu options have changed. You are the 50th caller. We will take your call in the next 14 hours, okay? Makes me crazy. I tried to make a reservation one time on Northwest Airlines, and they hung up on me. The machine hung up on me. It says, due to heavy call volume, we are unable to take your reservation. Call us back later. Click. Outrageous. I couldn't believe it. If I did that, I would be in the gutter. Okay, I mean, you could never do something like that. Marketing can never, ever, ever be relegated to a department. It's an attitude, not a department. It can never be relegated to that. There was an ad, I read a lot of ads that big companies write. They have all these geniuses in the big company, but they can't seem to get it right all the time. There was a stomach remedy company that wanted to market their product in the Middle East. So they did it with 3 pictures. They wanted visual, right? So the picture on the left shows a guy, he's in all kinds of distress, can't take it, right? Then he's drinking the remedy. Then the 3rd picture, he's got a big smile on his face. Well, where they went wrong was, in the Middle East, they read from right to left. Yeah. They sold nothing. They sold nothing. They sold nothing. Crapped out. One disaster after another. Okay? It was unbelievable. How do you become more creative? Because creativity is the basis for writing proper advertising, right? And what's the basis for creativity? Curiosity. Curiosity is the basis for creativity. You got to devour knowledge. You got to read, and you keep bringing it in, and it fills up what I call your psychic banks. And all of a sudden, you get this idea out of nowhere. Middle of the night, you wake up, write it down on a pad. Okay? You can get ideas from almost everywhere. Reading is my primary thing. You know, when my wife turns on the TV, I find that very educational. I go upstairs and read a book. Okay? That's how educational I find television. I don't watch a lot of television. The only person I ever watch on television is me, but I don't watch other people on television. I'm like sufficiently egocentric to do that, I guess. Another thing that will help you immensely in your business is called the react opposite rule. I sort of gave it that name. I have a client, by the way, who has a very difficult time, I have more than one client, that have difficult times with their customers in the laundry. Because every customer's got a problem. One problem after another. It's always something. It's always something. It's like, you know, introduce a react opposite rule, where you react oppositely to where the complainer expects you to react, you will win that battle. Person walks in your laundry, says, I hate this laundry, your price is high, I hate you, the place is dirty, I hate your attendance, I don't like anything. You say, instead of saying, well, I'm going to show you, and you give it to them back, you lose that argument. React opposite. You got to be able to put yourself second emotionally to be successful in any business. You might agree with the person. Take them in your office. Have a nice discussion. Tell me more. So happy I ran into you. You help me improve my business. Next thing they know, the guy says, so how bad is the problem? He says, well, it really wasn't that bad. I'm sorry I took up your time. Okay? It's called the react opposite rule. A lot of people experience disappointment. Disappointment actually comes in two ways. One way is when we're experiencing pleasure, we don't want it to stop, or we're experiencing pain, and we do want it to stop. Okay? Life is really one passing show after another. And the most common and best description that describes all things that happen to you every day, all day, over a period of years is this too shall pass. So just because you're doing well, don't think it can't change. And just because you're doing poorly, don't think it can't change. It can change. So don't ever think that it's always going to stay the same. This too will pass. Guaranteed it will pass. You've got to be customer focused, and people will always, it's strange how people view you. They may forget a lot of things about your laundry, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Ever, ever, ever. You can have a person walk in your laundry and you can point out every aspect of that laundry to them, and they'll forget a lot of that stuff, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And it's all about the emotional aspect of selling things to people, because people have an emotional memory far deeper than they do a factual memory. And there's another thing you should remember as well, is that you probably never thought about it this way, but customers have a lot more reasons for buying than you do for selling. You only have one reason to sell. One reason. You sell to make more money. They have a lot of reasons to buy. And the more you know about the reasons to buy, you can then better express the benefits in your advertising. And you want to also try to distinguish between systemic issues and just background noise. Okay, systemic issues in your laundry business are things like you don't have the right machines, you got bad attendance, your hours of operation are no good, your vent prices are no good, nothing's good. Okay, background noise is just the everyday things that happen. Okay, the Eagles, singing group, people heard you for their songs. The Eagles, great, they're wonderful, right? The line in one of their songs is, "Don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy," and you can't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy. If you let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy, you're going to overreact. That's just background noise. But you got to be very careful to pay a lot of attention to systemic issues, because if you overlook a systemic issue, it can be very, very expensive. It can become very expensive. You got to, in order to toughen yourself up, like I said, you have to do things that are difficult for you. I wrote an article a while ago that was published called "The Beauty of Obstacles." And the beauty of obstacles was where I had a job working for a guy who was a very, very difficult man. He was not only very difficult and obnoxious and mentally ill and everything else under it. He used to come to work wearing an Air Force uniform. I mean, good math. Okay, he wasn't in the Air Force either. That was a strange part, but nobody had the nerve to ask him why. Okay, and I couldn't get away from this guy. Talk about why things happen serendipitously. I could not get away from this guy. There was a recession going on. I couldn't get away. I was stuck. Why am I stuck with it? What did I do to deserve this? Well, finally I got away from him, and I had to learn to sell things for him under the most extraordinary circumstances. And I never appreciated the obstacle until I left. And it's because the beauty of obstacles is that you can't possibly imagine the benefit while you're in there. And people are very funny. Like I said, the frequency of behavior is a function of its consequences. You will do anything to eliminate discomfort. I will, you will, everybody does that, right? But maybe you ought to not do that. Maybe you ought to tough things out more often than not, because the benefit of doing so far exceeds making your excellent. And that's what you don't want to do what naturally comes naturally. Do what is really not natural. And the beauty of obstacles is it will disclose itself to you. And it will make it a lot easier to go through them as well. As far as setting goals is concerned, never argue for your limitations. The minute you argue for your limitations, like, I can't do that, that can't happen, I'm not smart enough, I don't have what it takes, they're yours. The minute you argue for your limitations, they are yours, okay? And stop keeping score. Don't keep score. In a metaphoric way, just because it's not your turn to take the garbage out, take it out anyway, okay? It doesn't make any difference. Stop keeping score. Realize that you can't please everyone. Guy wins a presidential election by 4 percentage points. How many people didn't want him to be president? A whole lot. You can't please everybody. It's impossible. And you can't strive for perfection. Striving for perfection is just it's a losing game. Strive for excellence. Striving for excellence is the proper way to go. Striving for perfection does not enable you to live in harmony. It's impossible to do that. You will fail at that every single time. You will always run across something that will disappoint you and cause you to be depressed. You have to put life in perspective. I saw there was a bumper sticker that somebody brought to my attention. It said, "Random acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty." Okay, try those things. They work very well. I have a benefit of working at this hospital, and I can go in there and do wonderful things for people. Don't cost me any money, and I get enormous benefits out of it. Far more satisfying, actually, than selling somebody a laundry or a machine or doing better in one of my businesses. It's immeasurable the amount of comfort you get from doing that type of thing. So the more you have opportunities to do that, you should do it. There was a guy named Scott Peck. He died a number of years ago, and he was a psychiatrist. And he wrote a book called The Road Less Traveled, which is really a very interesting book. The first line of the book said life is difficult, period. But once you realize it's difficult and accept it as difficult, it becomes less difficult because you don't expect otherwise. And if you expect life to be anything but difficult, you're wasting your time. The way to solve all the problems that you go through in life is through the ability to discipline yourself in more than one way. Discipline yourself in 100 ways is a solution to every problem that you have. It always requires a form of discipline. So if you do all these things, you will have a harmonious life, and you will have a happier life, and your story will be more deserving of being told. And you can practice these types of things. The best definition of a marketer that I've ever come across is you met somebody briefly and you had to buy that person a birthday present, and when you bought that person a birthday present, he or she opened up and said, "Perfect." That means you are sensitive. That means you get it. You understand what they're about. That's a marketer, okay? You run around saying to yourself, life is not fair. Life is not fair. Why does this happen to me? Life is not fair. I think it is fair. I actually think it is fair. The reason that life is fair is because it's unfair to everybody. So if it's unfair to everybody, by definition, it has to be fair. If you look at it that way, it can make your life a lot easier. As I told you, the basis for creativity is curiosity. Keep doing it. The more you know, the most amazing things will happen. You will get ideas all the time. They are doing research today in the neurotransmission of feelings. Okay, there's a neurotransmitter called dopamine, and they're finding out more and more that when a person is exposed to something pleasurable, they don't only take it in emotionally or intellectually, they take it in a neurological way as well, and it creates a behavior pattern from that person. So if somebody reads your ad, or somebody comes into your laundry, and they feel this pleasure in what they see, it's not only something they can verbalize or tell about the emotional aspect of it, it affects them neurologically. There's going to be more and more and more research going on. There's a lot of ethical issues associated with that, of course, but they're going to be doing that. I think that you're in the greatest retail business in the world. I really do. I think the coin laundry business is the greatest retail business on the planet. I'll tell you what, I'm in it. I think it is. Non-discretionary product, okay? Unless you got 365 pair of everything, I see some wash being done. It's a non-discretionary product, okay? You don't have a lot of hired help. You don't have a lot of employees here. You don't have any substantial receivables, okay? The product, this is very interesting. The product is bought, it's not sold. You don't have to sell somebody on cleanliness. As long as there are women on this planet, cleanliness will always be in them. Okay? With just men, can't say much. Women are the guardians of cleanliness. It's their job, can't get past it. That's the way it works, okay? There's not a lot of seasonality. That's interesting too. Very interesting. You got more customers now than you ever had, because laundry is a mindless task. Okay? People are too busy to do laundry. You had 15 jobs, or internet, this, that, the other thing. I have no time to do. This is not Ozzie and Harriet times. There's no, the husband goes to work and the wife stays at home. It doesn't work like that. Everybody goes to work. Okay, so they have no time to do laundry. Laundry piles up, and they have to go out and get it done. And because of economic times, they don't want to buy their own machine, fix the own machine that they have. So you got more chance to get customers than ever. They can't walk up to their machine and say, "Look, we're behind in laundry. I'm begging you. Cut the time down from 30 minutes to 15. I'll never ask again." That machine can talk and tell you two things: get out and stay out. Not happening. I'm not going to do it for you ever. Okay? So actually, you're living a dream. You are living a dream being in the coin laundry business. You know there are 7 billion people on this planet. Okay? 110 years from now, all new. Okay? So what's really the greatest business, aside from the second best business, other than the coin laundry business, is the funeral home business because they had 7 billion order backlog. You don't have that kind of backlog. You're never going to get that kind of backlog. 7 billion order backlog is big backlog. Okay? So it's, you know, when you put it all in perspective, I like the coin laundry business, it's a very nice business, but not compared to that one. That's a lot. Okay? So what's the success formula? The success formula for every coin-operated laundry, I know what you thought about, because you probably thought about this one, maybe not in these terms. There are 4 essential ingredients in the success formula of every coin-operated laundry. Number 1, fundamental demographic validity. Fundamentally, demographically, the laundry has to be in the right place. Number 2, some degree of trade area exclusivity. You don't have to be the only coin laundry on the planet, but you can't have one sitting next to you fractionalized in the market. Number 3, intelligent management and marketing style. Like I told you, marketing is an attitude, not a department. And number 4, intelligently conceived overhead. If we're all making beautiful music, making perfect harmony, you're on the right road. You're going to do fine. And you always got to keep things percolating. Never stop thinking. Always think, keep things on the stove. Keep it percolating. Don't let it go ever. Business life is serendipitous, okay? You never know what's going to happen. You put it into a sort of a wrap thing, too. By keeping things percolating, you ain't nothing shaking but the peas in the pot wouldn't be shaking. The water wasn't hot, okay? It's about that. Just keep the water hot, keep the peas shaking, and something will happen, and it will happen good. Do the right thing all the time, especially when nobody's looking. That's the best time to do the right thing, especially when nobody's looking. Never give up. Do the uncomfortable till it becomes comfortable. That's the secret to success. Most people never achieve a high degree of success because they avoid discomfort. That's the single greatest cause of lack of success, the avoidance of discomfort. And they do it because you are programmed as human beings to avoid discomfort. That's the way you're programmed. It's a natural thing for you to do. That's why I say do the unnatural. Do what isn't comfortable. If your fundamentals are right, all the rest is a matter of detail. But the fundamentals have to be right. Then the rest is simply a matter of detail. If you got an error in your fundamentals, of course, then the light at the end of the tunnel will be the train coming at you. And you don't really want that to happen. Fundamental things apply as time goes by. That was a line in the song, but it was a good song because the line applied. It worked fine. Exceed customer expectations, don't comply with minimal standards. If you comply with minimal standards or don't exceed expectations, you will just be commonplace. That's what you do. In order to achieve a peaceful existence, in my opinion, and I think I've learned this, that the quality of my life is determined by 10% of what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. Thank you very much.
One person I forgot to introduce, I don't know how your back was turned to me on the board. Did I introduce you, John? John Vassiliadis is on the board with us as well, and who will be presenting next at our next meeting in August, so please take these with us. Last reminder is if anybody wants to join me down in Springfield, see me afterwards, and we can talk about carpool down in Springfield next week, next Thursday. So if you're available, it would be great. Otherwise, that's it. Thanks a lot for everybody coming. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Steve. Pleasure. And I do have his cards. If you guys want, if anybody wants his business card, I have those here. Okay. If you want pie back there too, there's food left too, people. If you want another piece of pie or something, or oh, sorry.
Say his cards are over here.
Sure. Yeah. Do you want more?
Thanks. I'll
One
take
for your father-in-law as
He's
well.
got a lot of notches on his belt, huh?
Yeah.
Jesus. I think I shut him before he takes off.
He's got a message in the bag.
Oh, yeah.
Got it, got it, got it, got it, it's right there. I'm glad to see you.
But anyways, good to see you. Good to see you. Say hi to your wife for me. I will. And say hi to your wife. Okay. Okay. We'll see you. Say hi to your dad. Yeah, we'll do it.
I bought it for you.